We're gathered at this World Summit on Sustainable Development because the planet is in a it's in a crisis. There are so many problems facing this planet: the pollution, the global warming, the hole in the ozone layer, the extinction of species, the cutting down of forests, turning into deserts. And on top of all the different environmental problems, we have human crime, cruelty, war. And I first went to Taiwan, I think it was 6 years ago, maybe even 7 years ago. And I was invited by Dr. Hu. And he invited me because he felt very passionate about the environment in Taiwan. He knew that a great deal of damage had been done to the environment, that many areas of nature had been cut down and destroyed. And he felt that he would like me to go there, partly to talk to politicians and business people, and partly to introduce our program for young people, which is trying to make the world a better place. So when I first went to Taiwan, I'd been told that there was a very bad place called Snake Alley, where there was a baby chimp tied up, an orangutan tied up, and it was very cruel. But I found those things had already gone. And since I've been going to Taiwan, I have found a country that really has put a lot of effort into improving the environment. And I think that the history of Taiwan illustrates what has happened all around the world, that as the people come up into a higher economic level, the first thing that happens is that the environment suffers. And then as the level of the number of people rising out of poverty increases, and more of the population has a dignified lifestyle, so you find effort is made to try and save the remaining environment. And that's exactly what's happened in Taiwan. It's happening in other places around the world. Well, I travel around the world 300 days a year. And during those 300 days of travel, I talk to groups of business people, I talk to politicians, I talk to large groups of the general public, I talk to universities and schools. In fact, I try to reach as many different kinds of people as I possibly can. Because the world's environment is in a very bad state. And I don't know how much time we have left if we want to turn things around so that we can save this planet more or less as it is today for our great-grandchildren. And I always tell people, when they say to me, "Jane, do you really think there's hope?" there's one message that I give them. It's the same message that I give to the children of the Roots and Shoots program. What is Roots and Shoots? It's a symbolic name. Roots make a firm foundation everywhere. Shoots seem very tiny, but to reach the sun they can break through brick walls. And if we think of the brick walls as all the problems that we humans have inflicted on this poor planet, all the environmental problems and all the social problems, the cruelty, the crime, the war, and now terrorism, then the message of Roots and Shoots is a message of hope. Hundreds and thousands of young people, hundreds and thousands of Roots and Shoots around the world can break through these walls and make the world a better place. I began the program 11, 12 years ago because during my travel I met so many young people who thought deeply about the future and were very depressed. They felt that we, our generation ahead of them, had damaged their future. And it's true, we have. When I look into the eyes of my 3 grandchildren and think how the world was when I was their age, I feel a deep shame because we have destroyed so much in the 60+ years of my life. And so Roots and Shoots, with its message of hope, is something that has spread from Tanzania, where it began in 1991, into 60 countries. And Taiwan is one of the countries where it is growing very fast, and that's thanks a lot to Eugene Cheng, our chairman of the Jane Goodall Institute, and Kelly Koch, our executive director. I go to Taiwan once a year. I have very many friends there. And when I'm talking to the young people who say, "But Jane, you've written a book called Reason for Hope. Often your lectures are titled Reason for Hope, but can you honestly have hope when you look around the world and see what's happening today?" And I have 4 very simple reasons for hope. The first one is the human brain. When you think what we've done with our brains, when you think of the amazing technology, we've taken people to the moon. Think about the internet. Think about being able to communicate by email. It's unfortunate that some of our technological skill has been directed into creating weapons of mass destruction. It's unfortunate that as human development has occurred around the world, there has been massive environmental destruction, partly as a result of our ever-growing human numbers around the world. But at last, finally, all around the world, everywhere I've been, people are beginning to face up to and admit, yes, there really are serious environmental problems. It isn't just a group of crazies telling us things that aren't true for their own ends. It really is serious. So what's happening as a result? What's happening is that scientists around the world are beginning to use these amazing brains that we have to try and find solutions to heal some of the harm that we've inflicted. And those solutions, as many of you know, are actually developing more and more quickly as people try to solve these problems not only with their brains, but they're also bringing into the picture their minds, their hearts. So that's one reason for hope. And we could all give examples of the way industry is becoming greener, of the emissions being controlled. We know we have to go a lot further, but it is beginning everywhere. Second reason for hope is Mother Nature is so forgiving. And we all know, I'm sure, areas that we have absolutely destroyed, but which, given a chance, can once again become beautiful. And there are animal species on the very brink of extinction that, given a chance, maybe with captive breeding, maybe with protection in the wild, can make it come back. And as I go around the world, I take many stories from Taiwan, and I'm going to tell you a couple of those now. First of all, the Seika deer was almost extinct in the wild. These are deer which shed their antlers every autumn and grow them again in the spring. And every time they grow them, it has one more of these tines. Well, about 40 years ago, there were only 16 Seika deer. They had gone completely from the wild. They were in different zoos in Southeast Asia. And the Taiwanese botanists decided to try and save them. So the 16 deer were brought together, and they were bred in captivity. And it was a very successful program. I've been there where they are released in a very large national park in the very south of Taiwan. And there are now more than 400 of these deer that are actually released in 2 different national parks, living completely free. So that is a big success story. And then people say, but supposing you have a conflict between what we should do for the environment and business interests, what then? Well, I have another story from Taiwan. And this was very recent. This was just a few years ago. And it was thought necessary to make a railway